Yeah. Let's freaking go. Woo. Let's go, man. Eagles post-game live show, A to Z Philly, presented by BetMGM. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a feeling that we have not experienced here in the 2024 season. That's right, a dominating win in all facets. Offense, defense, special teams, doesn't matter. Eagles go in to MetLife and they get a dominating win in their first division game of the season behind the likes of Saquon Barkley in a revenge game. If you had listened to RB, I would have told you. As a matter of fact, I did tell you all week, this was going to be the Saquon revenge game, and he ran it all over that ugly turf. He ran it all over that weak defense that came in with the most sacks in the league. They did their job, but you know who didn't do their job? $40 million Daniel Jones. An absolute waste. Miserable. Mediocre. Those are some of the things I can use that come to my mind to describe Daniel Jones. Can you imagine John Mara? Can you imagine the Giants brass sitting there in the box, sitting there and thinking to themselves, I cannot believe that we let Saquon Barkley go to the Philadelphia Eagles. We let Saquon Barkley go to the Eagles and we paid Daniel Jones $40 million. That was the end of any momentum that the New York Giants had, and the Eagles get it done 28-3 in MetLife. Obviously, we're excited. We'll break it all down as it happens, but welcome in to A to Z Philly. Got to ask you guys for a favor. We'll get to your comments in just a second. Like the show, subscribe to the channel, and share it around. Wherever you're watching, YouTube, Facebook, share it around because it is a celebration Sunday. And again, we have not been able to feel this way about a game all season. All we asked, right, is one complete game. Could we see everything click together and connect on the offensive side, on the defensive side, on special teams? Didn't matter what they did today. Didn't matter what they did. They came out and they dominated. I'm not happy that they beat the Giants team because I knew they should have beat them, but I'm happy that the Eagles themselves took a look in the mirror and fixed some things that needed to be fixed. Now, was it perfect? No. Was it 100%? On top of it, no. Does this team have to build on this and get better? Yes. But this was certainly a step in the right direction for a multitude of reasons that we will get into. But I want to start it with Saquon. Who's your player of the game? Who's your player of the game? Give me your thoughts in the chat. I mean, there's only one right answer. There's only one right answer anyway. It's Saquon Barkley, okay? Let me throw some stats your way, okay? 55, 38, and 41. What are those numbers? No, they're not lottery ticket numbers. Those are the numbers of the rushes that got this Eagles team ignited thanks to Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley goes into MetLife, and anytime an athlete plays against their former team, let alone when the entire situation gets publicized and it's pretty, frustrating and embarrassing at the same time, I mean, there is so much motivation. They kept trying to downplay it. It's just another game. No, it's not. Saquon wants to rip the hearts out of Giant fans, and that's exactly what he did in this game. Just like 2 years ago, it reminded me of A.J. Brown against the Titans. Just absolute. I mean, A.J. got their damn GM fired. Saquon might have just got the GM fired. I mean, come on. This guy sat there on Hard Knocks and said that because they paid Daniel Jones, they shouldn't pay Saquon. They let McKinney walk. Look, man, what a game by Saquon Barkley. He just continues to do it over and over again. Saquon has had one crucial bad play this season. It was the drop against Atlanta. Other than that, this guy has been worth every penny and more. 17 touches today, 176 yards on the ground. He also had 11 yards in the air. His career high was 189, I think they said it was. And if Saquon played in the fourth quarter, he might have had 250 rushing yards. Saquon played 3 quarters in this game. He probably could have had 20 more touches. They were trying to prevent him from getting injured, and they didn't need to overuse him, right? I thought Kenny Gainwell was great, too, as a compliment. 56 yards for Kenny G, 270 yards. And what have we been saying every week, ladies and gentlemen? For the people that have been here, what have we been saying every week? This team starts with the run. Let the run open up the pass. Let the run, let your best element, let your identity show. Let it reveal itself. The Eagles can run it on any team. Keep in mind, no Jordan Mailata, and who got hurt early in this game? Mekhi Becton. That is two crucial pieces, really almost half of your damn offensive line down, and they still ran it down this team's throat. The Eagles can run it on anybody. Saquon Barkley is generational. This is why you pay him every dollar and more, and this is how they can win football games. Saquon Barkley was absolutely incredible. He had one touchdown. He probably could have had four. I mean, they were close a couple times, did a couple tush pushes. Or let me say brotherly shove. I know the Giants don't like that play, so I'm going to say brotherly shove. And the Giants just got shoved out of their own building. They had people leaving at the start of the fourth quarter. That's how bad it was. It was an absolute bloodbath for the New York Giants. Saquon Barkley, man, thank you for coming to Philadelphia. Thank you. I mean, I'm so happy. Not that Saquon, was amazing. I'm happy for that. Not just that the Eagles won the game. I'm happy that we finally had a game where down at the end of the fourth quarter, I'm coming up getting ready for the show. I'm not even worried about the game. I wasn't sweating it out. I wasn't saying, oh my gosh, can everything just go right for the last 6 minutes? And can we kick this field goal or can we not turn the ball over to win a game? It was easy. And this is how the Eagles can play because they have the talent. Ladies and gentlemen, man, all right, I got a lot to talk about. We'll get to some of the other things, but I want to read some comments. Who's the player of the game? There's only one right answer. Saquon says Audrey. Nova says the defense stepped up. Chris says one failed tush push. Domo says despite being sacked 5 times, still played well. FG says Saquon for sure. Derek says Saquon Barkley. Chris says Burns got injured too. Giants are cooked. The Giants have been cooked since week 1. I knew the Giants were going to finish last in this division. They are not a good football team. They're not well coached. They don't have the talent. Daniel Jones is the second worst contract in the NFL. Earlier today, Deshaun Watson went down. It looks like he's probably going to be out for the season. That's the worst contract, but close behind is Daniel Jones. The guy had 14 completed passes at one point for 90 yards. The guy can't do anything. He is immobile. He has no decision-making. He can't see the field. Speaking of seeing the field, I got to give credit to Jalen Hurts in this game. If people only look at the box score, they're going to see 10 for 14 with 114 yards for Jalen. But you know what I see? I see a guy for the second straight week who did not turn the ball over, did not make a crucial mistake. Now, there's still things I need to see worked on, right? They need to use the middle of the field. They're making it harder for themselves. But really, I feel like the point where I felt like this game took a jump is when they don't get it on 3rd and short and they decide to go for it. And I think it was 2 or 3 yards, and Jalen Hurts throws an absolute beautiful gem down the sideline, right in the breadbasket to A.J. Brown. A.J. did get away with a little push, but he absolutely dusted that corner. I think it was Nick McLeod, whatever his name is. My man was lost in the clouds. He stunk. A.J. dusted him, and it was a beautiful throw. It was a beautiful throw. Finally, Jalen puts it right there, and he didn't turn the ball over. Jalen Hurts played a good game. He took a couple more sacks than I would like. I think he got sacked how many times in this game? 5 sacks, which were all early. There was 1 third down where he was scrambling around. I didn't know what he was doing. But overall, Jalen played a better game. But it all started because they didn't make it harder for Jalen. Now, again, I think early in the game, because the Eagles still have not scored in the first quarter. First quarter was rough. Not using the middle of the field. I mean, there's so many opportunities to get Hurts in a rhythm. They're still not doing that. It needs to be fixed. But I'm not mad at it right now because, again, 55, 38, and 41. Those are the runs where Saquon broke open this game for the Eagles offense. When you have a running back that can get you those big chunk plays and can just like throw a punch into the side of the defense, I mean, it just makes things so much easier as an offense. And then you get down to the red zone, you have A.J. Brown. They didn't even have Dallas Goedert today. They had Grant Calcaterra, who had 1 catch. They had A.J. who had 5. It's like, where did the plays come? It came because they ran the ball 45 times. Do you know how amazing this is? I can't believe it actually happened. Now that I'm looking at the total numbers, 45 runs for the Eagles. Oh, I could shed a tear right now. Jalen threw the ball 14 times. They got out and ran the football early. They stuck with the run, and they ran it all over the Giants. Giants had 5 sacks early. The Eagles adjusted. They continued to feed the rock, and it worked. Ladies and gentlemen, what a game from Saquon Barkley. What a game from Saquon Barkley. What was your biggest takeaway from today's game? What was your biggest takeaway? I want to talk about the defense as well. The defense is starting to put it together. Now, I'm not ready to go the distance because you're playing the Cleveland Browns and you're playing the New York Giants, who both are miserable, okay? But I'm seeing Vic Fangio dial up different looks. I'm seeing Nakobe Dean get in there in the backfield, and he's all over Daniel Jones. There was a chip at one point. Nakobe just goes right over it, gets to Daniel Jones. Jalen Carter, I believe, had 2 sacks in this game, too. Yeah, Carter had 2. Dean had 2. Nolan Smith has been looking really freaking good off the edge. I'll give you a bold take later on in this show, or maybe we'll save it for a video this week. Bryce Huff had a sack. Hallelujah! You know your football team is bad when you got Bryce Huff getting a sack. Bryce Huff might be back with a sack. Pause. Who else had a sack? Josh Sweat. Jalen Hunt had a sack. Everybody had a sack. There was like 6 different guys that had a sack in this game. Bryce Huff gets a sack. Did Moro Ojomo get one too? I think he had a rush. I want to know how many hurries there were in this game. There must have been like 30 quarterback hurries in this game. Nakobe Dean played an incredible game. I want to give props to Quinyon Mitchell too. I mean, we're not going to look at it a lot in this game because of the numbers, but once those advanced stats come out about what Quinyon Mitchell did in this game, I'm going to make a take here. I want to know if you guys agree or disagree. I put this on Twitter at halftime. Follow me on Twitter at RBPhillyTake. Quinyon Mitchell is already emerging as the leader of the Eagles secondary. Agree or disagree? You know how I feel about Darius Slay. I've always been a big fan. Then he blocked me on Twitter. I think he's a bit soft, but Slay held his own. He made a couple nice plays. But ladies and gentlemen, this was the first matchup that we will see for a very long time of Quinyon Mitchell and Malik Neighbors. And Neighbors only had 4 catches for 41 yards. Quinyon Mitchell is a shutdown corner. He is on his way to becoming an absolute superstar. I think back in training camp, I had a bold take and I said, Quinyon Mitchell for Defensive Rookie of the Year. They looked at me like I had 5 eyes. Was it a bold take? Absolutely. But Quinyon Mitchell is a freaking superstar. This was the first real test. Like, he's had some tests, but this was the matchup. Slay was on him a little bit, and I think 1 or 2 of those catches even came against Slay. But for Quinyon shadowing Neighbors this whole game, he absolutely put a shutdown on him. And Quinyon Mitchell, I've seen what I've needed to see. I've seen all I needed to see. Quinyon Mitchell is legit. And how about Cooper DeJean, man? The guy's out here returning punts like he's been doing it for 54 years. He's been great in terms of tackling. The Eagles are getting better at tackling. Cooper DeJean is all over. There was one play where Daniel Jones stiffs arm him, and the announcer's losing his mind. I'm like, for what? It was a 3rd and 10. He got 1 yard. DeJean is not afraid to attack. He's not afraid. I really like DeJean. I really like Quinyon Mitchell. Those two together have a chance to make this draft class really, really good. Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell are paying off in terms of the investment so far. It is paying off. I love what I'm seeing from those two. Who else, man? Who else? Yeah, I mean, everybody. I didn't know the offensive line of the Giants was this bad. I know Thomas got hurt this past week. I thought the Giants O-line was like okay. They were awful. Eagles O-line didn't look good to begin this game. Fred Johnson gave up a sack, but they got better as the game went on, whereas the Giants just absolutely collapsed. The Giants stink, and they will forever stink because they made an awful decision to let Saquon Barkley go. I don't know why they did it. Sometimes these people in positions of power think they're too smart, but letting Saquon Barkley go will haunt that franchise the same way the Titans will be haunted by A.J. Brown leaving Tennessee. Now, like I said, there's still things this team has to work on. They were bad on third down today, but it didn't even matter. They were 1 for 13 on third. It's like, how? How do you go 1 for 13 but win by this many points? By the way, I said 28-17. I was wrong in terms of the Giants, but I was right in terms of the Eagles. I said Saquon would have 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. He almost had the second one. He was very close. So I'm going to give myself a pat on the back. I was close. I was close. 13 drives a pop. And the Eagles only had 69 passing yards in this game because they ran it all over the Giants. 45 runs. I saw what I needed to see. The Eagles were able to adapt and run the football, and they stuck with it. This is what I've been asking this team to do for the last 5 years because they've had talented backs. Not guys as good as Saquon, but they've had guys who can do this type of stuff. You just got to establish it early. And that is what they did. 340 yards of offense for the Philadelphia Eagles. They checked every box today, man. I still think they need to use the middle of the field, but other than that, this was a complete win. This was a complete team win. Offense, defense, and special teams. Couple bad penalties, but nothing crazy. You look at the Eagles' schedule, and now they're 4-2. You know, as bad as we feel that they have played all season up until today, they are 4-2. They got the Bengals coming up, the Commanders, the Cowboys. I mean, they should be able to win these games. The Eagles have a very favorable schedule, and right now the NFL is uncertain this year. So I think the Eagles should be able to keep winning games, but they can't revert back to what they've been doing before. Today was a perfect blueprint. They need to watch this film all day, every week, and do the same exact thing next week. Can't get away from it. They better not come out next week and run the ball 8 times. They better run it at least 25, 30. Because it works. It works. So that's my takeaway on this game, man. But I am freaking fired up. Ladies and gentlemen, what's your main takeaway from this game? How do you feel about the Eagles after this? Do you credit the Giants for just being a bad team? Do you think the Eagles finally figured it out? What are your thoughts in the chat? What's your main takeaway in this game? Give me your thoughts. Devontae Smith only had 1 catch, too. Jahan Dotson, they threw it to him a couple times, but couldn't pull one in. Giants stink, man. But I'm hyped that Quinyon was able to lock up Malik Neighbors the way he did. And their running game was non-existent. Singletary has fallen off since the first couple weeks. Tyrone Tracy was not existing. He was nowhere to be found. And Daniel Jones didn't even have 100 yards passing. So I'm going to read out some of the best takes in the chat, and then I have a few more questions for you guys. Once again, if you're tuning in and you're in here rocking with us, like the show, subscribe to the channel, and share it around if you're on Facebook as well. I'm going to read out some of the best comments, but I got to give a shout out to BetMGM. If you were betting with RB today, you won big time. Go enjoy all your favorite sports like never before at BetMGM. Sign up with the code ATOZPA. And receive up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. When you register with BetMGM, you'll get instant access to parlays, live bets, player props, and daily boosted odds specials. And with BetMGM at your fingertips, every play and every game matter more than ever. So sign up today, use the bonus code ATOZPA, and get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. Brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Download the app today. Please gamble responsibly. Like I said, I had an easy bet of the day. The easiest one of the day for me was Saquon Barkley on the over of yards. I actually put him to go over 100 yards. That was done within the first couple quarters. Probably should have put more on it, to be honest. I mean, I just knew. I knew that Saquon Barkley was going to destroy. He was going to obliterate the New York Giants. That's what you get for letting him go. That is what the New York Giants get for letting Saquon Barkley go. Big time game, man. Big time game. It's pretty crazy when you think about the fact that AJ had 5 catches and nobody else had more than 2. And they still won this game 28-3. Man, the rushing attack was incredible. Incredible. What's the main takeaway from this game? Philly Jackson says, being the only team not to score in the first quarter still grinds my gears. I agree. I agree with that. They need to stop getting out to these slow starts. Williams says, defense stepped up again. They're starting to put it together, man. Defense 2 consecutive games now of getting it right. I love the way they're being more aggressive. I like how they're tackling, not letting guys get to the next level of defense. They're not letting anybody break off for these big plays. Again, got to keep in mind who they're playing, but all you can do is play who's on your schedule, and you can build up confidence, and that is what this team is doing right now. Esau says, did Smitty have a target? Didn't hear his name one time. He had one catch, and he had -2 yards. He wasn't even involved in this game. You have a whole other level that you can tap into as the Philadelphia Eagles. Terrell says, Saquon being a beast. ABD says, main take, Eagles have now raised the bar. This should be the minimum that we expect to see. I agree. Now we have the blueprint for a game where they can go out and dominate from start to finish. That is what I wanted to see above all else. I knew they would beat the Giants, but I wanted to see a complete game by this Philadelphia Eagles team, and we saw it today. We saw it today. In every facet, man. That is what we expect. This is the level of greatness they can achieve, and they need to be able to replicate this. Michael says, once we beat a decent team, victory Monday will feel better. Phil says, Bengals barely got out alive. Bengals, I mean, I expected them to be a better team. What are they, 2-4, 3-4 now? But, you know, they've also been inconsistent. They barely beat the Giants on Monday night. So, yeah, man, Eagles should be able to win their next 4, if I'm being honest. Just saying. Saquon's career high was 189 yards. Probably could have had 250 if he played the fourth quarter. Dom says, Eagles are figuring it out on both sides. Play calling in question when they overthink it and kill a drive, but they're all starting to click. Phil says, better now than losing it at the end like last year. I agree with that. I agree, man. Got to get hot now. They're finally putting together this identity, and hopefully today showed them, right? Because we've seen the Eagles in the past see what works, and they don't stick with it. But today it worked, man. Like I said, really big game by the edge rushers. Those guys didn't have a sack for like 7 consecutive games, and now they've had 2 in a row, you know, where they've just been mightily attacking and beating their one-on-one matchups. Other than a couple bad plays in this game, I thought from start to finish, the Eagles were in control. I thought really, like I said, when it was 7-0 and Jalen threw that 41-yard bomb on 4th down to make it 14-0, that's when I thought, okay, like this team's got it today. This team's got it. Now, there were points where the Giants could have came back. You know, it was 21-3. Giants needed a score. They just kept going 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. Daniel Jones just isn't good enough. But yeah, man, Quinyon locking up Neighbors the way he did, incredible. Incredible. And like I said, Kenny G too, man. Kenny G's been trying to get more touches. Obviously, Saquon's the main show. He's the main guy, but, you know, if Kenny can be that compliment like he was a couple years ago, I mean, that would be huge for Philly. But I feel good, man. I feel good after this game. Willie says, Quinyon is him. Dylan says, Smitty didn't even get me half of a fantasy point. Dylan says, let's go Birds. Glad we got the win. ABD says, this game finally makes me pumped for the next. That's what I'm saying, man. We've been coming into these games kind of just like, we've been like, all right, you know, like hopefully they figure it out this week. Hopefully they can finally figure it out. But I feel like after this game, it's like, all right, they finally got something to go. Interesting things by Vic Fangio. There was a play early where I think Josh Sweat was covering Neighbors. I was a little bit confused and scared, but then they just locked up, man. Feels like that bye week really helped the Eagles, man. Feels like they got healthy and they got fresh. They're going to need this. They're going to need this to continue, man. Giants fans leaving the building early in the fourth quarter. I'm sure the owner probably couldn't even watch the whole second half. I mean, he was probably sick to his stomach, if I'm being honest. He had to be sick to his stomach. I think Neighbor's lowest yards of the season was 66, and this is now his lowest. So, big time stuff, man. Big time stuff. They said Saquon has the most yards for the Eagles through 6 games in their history. I mean, there's just so many stats we could just keep piling on. But just big time, man. Big time. I mean, Jalen, was taken out for Kenny Pickett. Once Drew Lock came in the game, you're like, damn. Damn, man. But yeah, overall, just a huge game. And that's all I can say, man. This was a big-time win for the Philadelphia Eagles. Big-time win. Giants had a touchdown earlier in the game. I think that was right before halftime. But, yeah, there was offensive pass interference. Just killed all the momentum they had. Cowboys are on a bye week this week. The Commanders are going to play the Panthers and probably beat them. But you get, more cushion in your division as well, which is huge. Giants are now 0-4 at home. I don't know, man. It's like, it's a good win. I probably sound like I'm overreacting a bit. Like, you don't want to go over the edge, but I think what I'm most happy about again is just that the Eagles played a complete game. That's what I've been waiting to see for a long time. Now that I think of it, I don't even know the last time they played a complete game. Maybe it was before they collapsed at the end of last season. But even last year, like, they were winning games, but they were struggling. This was a dominant win, and it's refreshing to see this kind of game. Very refreshing to see this kind of game. Eagles had 2 touchdowns by halftime. When's the last time they had that? I need a stats guy or something, man. But I don't know. I mean, it's been a while, man. It's been a while. Big dominant win, though. You come out after a week where there was so much antics. There was so much drama about Nick Sirianni and this and that. And I like how he stayed humble this week. I still think they need to do a better job at preparing these guys and getting them ready to go right out of the chute. But if they can start scoring in the first quarter, I mean, this team can get back to where they need to be. This was a great start. I guess I'll ask one final question because other than that, I mean, really, it was just a blowout. It was a good win. How confident are you in the Philadelphia Eagles right now as a team? 10 being the most confident, 1 being the least confident. If you had to give an overall number on your confidence for the Eagles, drop it in the chat right now. Give me your thoughts. 1 to 10, what is your confidence after this game today? Dom says, how about the offensive line? I thought Steen did okay when he had to come in, but they were solid. He did a really good job. And, Mailata is on IR. So Jordan Mailata is not going to be playing for, 4 weeks at least. So I don't know what they're going to do moving forward. I thought they had a really rocky start to this game. Fred Johnson got beat a couple times, but he looked better as the game went on. And maybe that's just because Saquon was incredible. But, Saquon's just so freaking good. I've talked about it enough here today, but just his ability, like these little spin moves he's putting on, these little stutter steps, like Saquon just knows how to play the position. There's guys that just know how to play the game, and Saquon is a game changer. And again, that's why you pay him. That's why Howie did not hesitate at the opportunity. But yeah, Steen played really well. I hope Becton's okay. I think they said he has a concussion, but Becton has been rock solid this year. I'm glad they didn't move him out the left tackle. I kind of like him where he's at. But yeah, man, big time win. What's the grade for the Eagles' confidence right now? Dom says an 8. Justin says 6. ABD says I went from a 4 to a 7. Willie says still not too confident. A 4. Gail says 6. Phil says 7 as long as Moore keeps running it. So it looks like we're all over the spectrum. I would probably say, yeah, like a 5 or 6. Because, again, they didn't play a really good team today or last week. But if they can keep up this level of dominance, even against some of these lower teams, or let's just say Commanders, Cowboys, Bengals, if they can just keep playing this way, even though they're playing bad teams, if they can show that they can replicate this success week over week, then I think my confidence will go back up. But, man, what a dominating performance. What a dominating performance. First win of 10-plus points since week 7 of last year. Big time W, man. Saw everything we needed to see. Derek says, very confident. I'm worried about the health of our offensive tackle. Yeah, health is a big thing. These guys have to stay healthy. I mean, it's not going to get easier. Then you get to more division games. But, yeah, man, the guys who stepped in, I thought it was really a good next man up, complete type of win mentality. And you can only go one day at a time, one game at a time. So, happy with what I saw. Eagles get it done. The biggest takeaway, again, is that they stuck with the run and they did what worked. So I'm really happy after this game, and hopefully it continues next week. But again, this is the A to Z post-game live show presented by BetMGM. Go check them out. Use the code ATOZPA. Thank you all for tuning in with your boy as always. We'll drop more videos during the week on YouTube. We'll talk about any news that comes up. We'll break down this win even more. And as always, we'll keep you up to date. So help us get to 6K subs here on YouTube. Subscribe to the show. Share it around. If you're watching on Facebook, hit that share button. Big time win, man. Big time win. And of course, I will see you all on the live stream next week. But good way to build, man. Good way to build. A to Z Philly, you guys are the best, man. Hope you all have a great rest of your Sunday. Go Birds. We're back on track, man. Big time win on the road in MetLife. Phil, thanks for being here. ABD, KSF, appreciate you guys, man. Complete game, I agree. Good way to summarize this game. A complete win for the Philadelphia Eagles. And we'll be back, man. You guys have a great rest of your night. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.